Hello. Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. I am here like I am most Wednesdays. I just want to double check that I actually am going live. I am still learning with the software. It's very cool that I can do this. But I also notice that like I get nervous. I get nervous that I'm like talking to no one. And I've literally done this before. Like I remember this wasn't very long ago. I went live and I think I was live for about 15 minutes. And I didn't see a single person watching. And I'm like, oh man, it must just be a quiet day. And then it turned out that like I had tried to do it in a weird way and I was just talking to myself, which I don't mind doing. I've done that plenty of times. But I just want to double check to make sure I'm actually live. Looks like I am live on both platforms. So fantastic. Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. How's it going? Here I am for my weekly live. I want to talk about last week's podcast, which is action. So, as a quick review, for those of you who might not know, over the last, well, I guess it's 3 weeks now, and episode 4 is coming out on Friday. But over the last few weeks, I've done a series, and the series is on the process. Like, what is the process that I bring people through? What is the process that people go through when they sign up to work with me, whether it's doing something with alcohol or something else, right? Like any other sort of change, any other sort of exploration. What does that look like? And so that's what I'm outlining in this series. This series, we are on phase 3, which I call action. So interestingly enough, and I'll say this in case you haven't, if you haven't watched episodes 1 or my lives on phases 1 and 2, highly recommend you go check it out because there's a lot to see, and I think it's really great to get kind of caught up. Either way, I am on the action phase now, right? So we are on phase 3, which is action. And so what this is like the part of the thing where you do the thing you wanted to do, right? It is the, oh, thanks, Cindy. Cindy says, happy birthday. It is my birthday. Thank you, Cindy. But it is this phase is where we actually do the things we want to do, right? Where we actually do the things that we signed up to do, right? So in the case of something like quitting drinking, it's where we actually quit drinking. And the other 2 phases, we have set ourselves up for success. So we have, we have spent some time learning about what's going on, about why we drink and triggers and all of that stuff. And then we also spend some time planning, right? We use what we learn to plan to do whatever it is we want to do, right? We want to actually use this information to get to a spot where we plan to be successful, right? Where we take what we've learned about triggers, we've learned about environments, we've learned about ourselves. We take that music to put a plan together. Now we're past those 2 phases, right? We're finally doing the thing. And action is when we actually enact the plan, right? It's when we do the stuff we want to do. Now, interestingly enough, and you might have had this experience yourself, but like I see it a lot with people quitting drinking where they jump right to action. They skip those first 2 things. And the thoughts, it's understandable thought of like, listen, I've been trying to do this for a long time. I do not want to wait, right? I want to just dive in. And I understand that. But the problem is very often when we do this, we don't catch everything. So in this process, when you do it with me, by the time we get to action, we've spent some time thinking about it, right? We spent some time figuring out what it is we're going to do. We spent some time thinking about, okay, how is it that we can be successful? And here we are, right? Now, there's a few things about the action phase that I love people to know because honestly, once you've done the planning, a lot of this is just executing the plan, right? And that really is thing 1. Follow the plan. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people spend time putting a plan together, thinking this all through, and then they don't follow it, right? And maybe we forget about it. Maybe we get stressed, and all of that is totally understandable. But step 1 or thing 1 is like always use the plan, right? Always use the plan. And step 2 is be ready to not have a plan. And this happens so often. Like I see this all the time, like where people are, they have a plan, and they've like got it all laid out. And like, even with us, like the most planning we can possibly do, we're going to miss stuff, right? Shit's going to pop up. Shit's going to happen that we didn't expect. And so being flexible is huge, and actually building that flexibility into the plan. So knowing like, hey, if something comes up that I didn't expect, I'm going to reach out to my coach or a friend, or maybe it's a group of people you're working with or whatever it might be, right? Spend some time and actually reach out to people, like actually talk to people. Have that in the plan so that when those things pop up, and it's not an if, it's a when, right? When those things pop up, you can actually move forward. You know what to do. You might not know the specific solution. You might not know like, oh, if this happens, I'm going to, whatever, do X, Y, and Z. But you'll know like, okay, I didn't have a plan for this. I'm going to talk to someone, right? I'm going to figure it out. But having all of that in place makes a massive difference. And then the other thing that I like to talk about in terms of action, and this one is also huge, like this is also a big deal, is don't think beyond the duration. So again, those of you who have worked with me on this have heard me talk about this in the past. And those of you who haven't worked with me yet will hear it someday down the road. But essentially, when this process happens, I really encourage people to have a date, meaning like, all right, I'm quitting on this day, and a duration, meaning I'm going to be quitting for this long, right? Date and duration. And that's really, really key. Now, what can happen is people will say like, oh, the duration is going to be 1 week. And maybe you get maybe you're 2 or 3 days in and, it's going. And then you start thinking like, what's next? Like, oh man, these 2 days, maybe they've been kind of rough. These 2 days have been kind of rough. I don't know if I want to keep going in this direction, or like, man, these few days have been really difficult for me. I don't know that, I don't know, maybe I don't want to keep going. Or, oh geez, I'm making plans, right? I'm planning on 7 days and I'm planning on all the drinks I'm going to have on day 8, right? This is the sort of stuff that can trip us up. So thinking beyond the duration, that puts us in this position where we have to like, we start thinking, and I know for me, like I would reason my way out of it. So it's like, oh, well, if I'm going to be, say, a week alcohol free and I'm deciding to drink on day 8, why am I even doing this? And then I start justifying all my way back to today. And I might as well drink now, because if I'm going to drink then, I might drink now, right? These sort of thoughts. The other thing that happens is it puts a lot of stress when we start thinking about our time outside of the duration. It puts a lot of stress on right now. And right now is when we want to be alcohol free, right? And for a lot of us, stress is a trigger. So when we start going down the road of like, what am I going to do? And how am I going to handle this? And how's this going to work? And how's that going to work? When we start doing, my chair just fell, geez. When we start doing all of this, it puts a lot of pressure on ourselves, and we end up in this situation where it becomes very, very easy to just like essentially say, fuck it and drink. Right? Like essentially just like make the decision and then end up drinking. So I recommend against thinking beyond the time frame. Instead, being able to be like, hey, you know what? Like the decision is made, right? It's made for these 7 days. I know what is happening for these next 7 days. Anything outside of that I can think of later, and who cares? Right? And I will decide what I'm going to do on day 8 on day 8. And this is really important because you can only control one thing at a time, right? You can only control what's happening right now. You can't control day 8. I can't control day 8. I can't control 2 hours from now, right? Like this is the world that we live in. And so spending a lot of time sort of thinking about like, all right, like I absolutely am gonna throw myself a rager on day 8, or I have no idea how I'm gonna handle stress, or I don't know how I'm gonna handle this travel that's 2 weeks outside of my duration. It is really rough. It is really rough, and it can mess us up. So follow the plan. Be ready to not have a plan. Have a plan to not have a plan. And don't think outside of the duration. The last piece that I like to talk about with this, and it's really, really big, and it's going to be different for everybody, like specifically what it's going to be and how it's going to look is going to be different for everybody. But have a plan to talk to someone. Have someone that you can just talk about how it's going. And I don't mean like if something goes sideways. I mean in a very real way, like have someone that you can check in with, that you can say, hey, I'm doing it. Like today wasn't bad, or like, whoa, today really sucked, or whatever it might be, right? Have someone in place that is knowing that you're doing this, that can give you that level of accountability in a nice way. Like, this is one thing I do with my one-on-one clients, is when they're in the middle of their duration, I check in with them, right? And so we set up check-ins. And again, it's not because I'm going to like yell at them if they didn't do it, but instead it's really just this accountability. And it's surprising how many people have told me, man, like, I was so close to drinking last night, but I just had this thought that, like, I'm going to have to tell Scott, and I didn't want to. And it was enough. It gave me that little bit of strength just to get over the edge. Right. So, I mean, I'd love it if you were working with me, but whether it's me or someone else, it could be a friend. It could be someone who knows what it's like to go through this, right? A family member, a partner, whoever it is. Set up those check-ins. And again, don't set them up in a way where the person screams at you if you have a data point. That's not what this is about. Instead, set it up in a way where you are thinking about the fact that they're going to be checking in, where you're aware of the fact, and where you can feel a little bit of pressure. And I mean that in a good way, to be like, hey, I don't want to mess up this check-in. It's incredible what can happen, right? Having that person. And then also, in addition to the checking in, just someone to talk to, someone to talk about what it's all about. Now, that could be a group. If you join Sam and Ellie and I over in Present and Sober, right? You can do that and have the conversation there. You can have a coach, like me or the millions of others that are out there. But just to have a conversation, just to explain, just to get it off your chest, right? Having this is huge during the action phase, because 9 times out of 10, I find even just putting things into words feels better, right? Even just like going from being super upset or super sort of, I don't know, like just having a down day or not really sure what's up, going from that to like talking about it and feeling better. A lot of times, all that's needed to get there is just a conversation, is just some words. So do that for yourself, right? So these are the things in the action phase that make a big difference. Have a plan, be ready for shit that's not in a plan. Don't think outside of the duration, and have someone to be accountable to, have someone to talk to, have someone to engage with, have someone to ask you, how was your day? How are you doing? How is this going? I have a video coming out about this, I think tomorrow. I got a little behind on recording videos this week. So normally on my YouTube channel, they come out on Tuesdays. This week, it's going to come out tomorrow because I recorded it this morning. It's been kind of a topsy-turvy week for me. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop this video about expectations. So look for that tomorrow. But that would be point number 5, and kind of the one I'll leave you with here is this idea of let go of expectations. It's fine to have them. It's fine to be like, hey, this could happen or that could happen. Maybe look forward to things, but then also recognize that there is no way for you to actually know what's going to be happening. Like, there's no way for you to know enough about what this is going to be like to actually expect something. So let all of that go, right? Walk into this with curiosity. Walk into this saying, I wonder what this is like. Let go of those expectations. Then you're in this space where you can actually engage with and enjoy this action phase. And you're not sort of like tied down or stuck to it. So there you go. Those are my thoughts. Hey, Russ, buddy. Russ said there's no one like you. Thank you, sir. There are my thoughts on, going a little bit deeper on this concept of action. If you haven't yet, go to the podcast. You can see them if you're watching me on YouTube. The episodes are on YouTube, but you can also go to wherever fine podcasts are downloaded and get the earlier episodes in this series. Next week, we're going to talk about build, right? That's like the next and sort of final phase. And so we'll do a deep dive into that next week. As always, if you need me, please reach out, right? Scott at scottpenier.com. You can comment on this video. I'm live right now on Facebook and on YouTube, so you can comment on videos there. And I think that is it. I believe that is it. So I just want to say thank you all for hanging out with me, and I will be back next week with another live. Until then.